Let's stay with the story, and I'd like to bring in John Herbst, who is a former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine and the senior director of the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Center, who joins me now from Fairfax in Virginia. Ambassador Herbst, thank you very much for joining us here. 4 months into this conflict, at a time when Ukraine essentially needs all the unity, I mean, politically, militarily, socially, it can get to stave off this attack. This shakeup must come as a major shock. I mean, especially considering that senior changes, quite frankly, have been quite rare since the invasion.
Well, first, one reason why I think senior changes have been rare since the invasion is that the Ukrainians have fought very well. And it's Moscow that's had major problems. The sacking of the head of the SBU, Bakanov, is not a surprise. There was a story out about a month ago detailing allegedly the incompetence of his organization in Moscow's success in taking Kherson in the early days of the war. So I was not surprised to see today's news, at least as regards Bakanov. As for Venediktova, the Procurator General, that to me was a surprise. There had been no such news reports before about serious problems in her organization. She hosted the American Attorney General, Merrick Garland, in a successful visit a few weeks back. But there are charges now or information now that, in fact, a fair number of people under her have been collaborating with the Russians. I'd like to see the evidence before drawing any conclusions. But again, I understand why they sacked Bakanov. We'll see why they sacked Venediktova.
President Zelenskyy, in his statement that he released about an hour ago, alluded to this collaboration, which you also pointed to, sort of collaborative activities of certain employees in the prosecutor's office. I mean, is this perhaps, I'm trying to put some context into this, I mean, is this perhaps showing that the growing Russian influence in the country is not just limited to the military advance?
Well, in fact, I would take issue with that phrasing. I don't think there's growing Russian influence. Russia's taken some additional territory under its control, accepting many casualties as a consequence in the east. But in fact, the opposition of the Ukrainian people to Russian control has only grown. Now, that doesn't mean, however, that Russia cannot bribe or intimidate individuals in Ukraine, and perhaps including in these agencies, to work for them. I don't rule that out. My statement about possible collusion by members of the Procurator General's team with the Russians came from, I saw Zelensky's statement, but I'd be interested in seeing some evidence beyond that.
Okay.
But perhaps, we'll see.
Okay. You said that you were surprised with the sacking of Iryna Venediktova. One of her primary duties was to actually spearhead the effort in terms of pushing with the war crimes allegations against certain Russians in the country. I believe that we've only seen one in terms of a verdict being handed down. I think that Russian soldier was given life in prison. Do you think that perhaps that the Ukrainian president is somewhat displeased with the rate of the war crimes being brought to the courts?
That's a fair observation. I don't rule that out at all. I don't know if expectations are realistic or unrealistic, but in a wartime situation, I can understand why Zelenskyy would demand fast results. And so your point is a fair one.
Okay. Ambassador John Herbst, thank you very much for joining us here on Tier 2 World. I do appreciate your analysis. Thank you.